You were looking at a tablespoon of oil. It costs $6 for a jar that lasts 3 months. And in 2024, a peer-reviewed study published on PubMed confirmed what a $6 billion industry has spent 100 years trying to make you forget. This oil swished through your mouth for 20 minutes reduces the concentration of Streptococcus mutans, the primary bacteria that destroys your gums and causes tooth decay, by a statistically significant margin, the same margin as their $15 prescription mouthwash. They called it folk medicine. They funded studies to discredit it. They invented a fake disease so you would buy their product instead. And they almost got away with it. Stay with me because this has been validated by the National Institutes of Health, published in the Journal of Dental Hygiene, and confirmed across multiple randomized controlled trials. Someone made sure you would never find out. Let's start with the mechanism because this is not mysticism. This is biochemistry. Streptococcus mutans, the primary bacteria responsible for cavities and gum disease, has a lipid membrane, a fatty outer wall. When you swish oil through your teeth, the oil emulsifies. It binds to that lipid membrane and mechanically disrupts it. The bacterial cell wall collapses. The bacteria dies. No alcohol, no synthetic compounds, no fluoride. In September 2024, PubMed published a study confirming that sesame oil pulling produced a statistically significant reduction in Streptococcus mutans concentration in dental plaque. In January 2025, Springer's Dental Journal published an 8-week randomized trial. Sesame oil was significantly more effective than distilled water in reducing full mouth plaque scores. In May 2025, the World Journal of Dentistry published a randomized controlled trial. Their conclusion: coconut oil pulling and chlorhexidine mouthwash, the gold standard prescription rinse, have comparable effects on gingival status and salivary anaerobic microbial count. Comparable, not inferior. Comparable, a $6 jar versus a $50 prescription bottle. Now ask yourself why your dentist has never mentioned this. This practice is not new. It is documented in two of the oldest medical texts in human history, the Karaka Samhita and the Sushruta Samhita, foundational Ayurvedic texts written over 3,000 years ago. They called it Kavala Graha, or Gandusha. It was prescribed to strengthen teeth, eliminate toxins from the oral cavity, reduce gum inflammation, and improve systemic health. For 3,000 years, healers across India, Persia, and the ancient Mediterranean used this protocol. Sesame oil was the original medium. Coconut oil came later. The practice spread through trade routes. It never needed a patent. It never needed a pharmaceutical distributor. It required a tablespoon of oil and 20 minutes. That is precisely the problem. You cannot patent a tablespoon of sesame oil. You cannot build a $6 billion market on something that costs $6 and grows in the ground. So in 1879, a chemist named Jordan Lambert created something you could patent. He called it Listerine. Here is what Listerine actually was in 1879, a surgical antiseptic for operating rooms. It was used to sterilize instruments and clean wounds, nothing more. By 1895, Warner Lambert began selling it to dentists as an oral rinse. It barely moved. For 40 years, Listerine was a commercial failure. Then in 1921, their marketing team made a decision that would permanently reshape American culture. They opened a dusty Latin medical dictionary and pulled out a forgotten term, halitosis, from the Latin word halitus, meaning breath. They ran full-page newspaper advertisements. Even your best friends won't tell you. You may be unaware that your breath is objectionable. They did not invent a cure. They invented the disease. The disease was halitosis, not a medical condition, not a diagnosis, simply the Latin word for bad breath, a universal human experience they attached a clinical-sounding name to, made a source of social shame, and sold the only cure for. And this is the detail that makes this document devastating. By 1927, Listerine's annual revenue had climbed from $115,000 to $8 million in 6 years by manufacturing a social crisis that did not exist. And the ancient oil that actually worked, they had a new name for it now, folk medicine. And the problem, the one your dentist will not say out loud and that most people have never connected, is that Listerine does not discriminate. It contains up to 26.9% alcohol. Alcohol does not selectively target Streptococcus mutans. It detonates your entire oral microbiome in the same rinse, including Streptococcus salivarius, the beneficial bacteria your body naturally produces to fight harmful pathogens. Once the good bacteria are gone, the harmful strains rebound within hours, sometimes in greater numbers than before. Coconut oil and sesame oil do not work this way. Their mechanical action targets the harmful bacteria specifically, leaving your beneficial microbiome intact. This is where it gets dangerous. Not for you, for them. The global mouthwash market in 2026 is estimated at $6.6 billion. Listerine holds approximately 30% of that market. That is nearly $2 billion per year in a product category that did not exist before 1921. And here is the detail they do not want you connecting. The American Dental Association's seal of acceptance, that symbol printed on Listerine's label, the symbol your dentist points to when you ask if a product is safe, requires a licensing fee paid to the ADA to display. The same ADA that classifies oil pulling as insufficiently evidenced for a formal recommendation. The same ADA that receives funding from oral care product manufacturers. Someone made sure you would never find out. Here is what they can no longer suppress. As of 2026, the National Institutes of Health database contains over 40 published studies on oil pulling, multiple randomized controlled trials, and multiple systematic reviews. A 2023 analysis published in the International Journal of Dental Hygiene directly compared oil pulling to chlorhexidine across multiple independent studies. The conclusion was consistent across all of them. Oil pulling reduces plaque. It reduces gingival inflammation. It reduces bacterial load, not in folklore, but in peer-reviewed journals. Researchers in India, Finland, and across Europe have now confirmed what Ayurvedic practitioners documented 3,000 years ago. The evidence existed the entire time. It was buried under a century of mouthwash advertising and a fake Latin word invented in a marketing boardroom. Here is the exact protocol used across the clinical trials. 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed coconut oil or sesame oil first thing in the morning before you eat or drink anything. Swish gently for 15 to 20 minutes, not gargling, but gentle swishing, pulling the oil between your teeth, around your gums, and coating every surface. Spit into the trash, not your sink. The oil solidifies and will clog your drain. Rinse with warm water, then brush your teeth as normal. 5 days per week. Results in the clinical trials appeared consistently within 2 to 4 weeks. Total cost, $6 per jar, approximately 90 days of supply, the same result as chlorhexidine at 4% of the price. You now know what $6.6 billion depends on you not knowing. Every like, every share, every comment preserves what they tried to erase. If this story changes the way you look at the simple ingredients in your pantry, please subscribe and like the channel. We are unearthing the history they tried to bury. Plant the seeds for a healthier future. The next treasure trove of knowledge will be open soon.